Identification of individuals through latent print analysis is one of the oldest and most relied on of the forensic science disciplines. Use of latent prints as a means of criminal identification is documented back to the late 1800s. The latent print unit assists law enforcement investigation by using the unique characteristics found on fingers, hands, and feet to identify individuals who may have been connected with criminal activity and revealing the unknown deceased. Finger and palm prints are unique to every individual. Perspiration is formed from glands located on the ridges, which transfers print impression to virtually any material. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. The word latent comes from the Latin word for invisible. Latent print evidence is divided into two categories, porous and non-porous. Examples of porous evidence are papers, cardboard, and unfinished wood. Non-porous evidence is represented in part by glass, metals, and plastics. Prints may appear in three different forms: visible, when deposited in blood, grease, or dirt; semi-visible, such as prints deposited on glass or mirror; and finally, when they are invisible to the unaided eye. Visible and semi-visible prints can be viewed by modifying the direction of the object relative to the light and by treatment with powders to reveal the print. The invisible print presents the greatest challenge to the print discovery process. Several techniques may be employed. One such technique is to place a non-porous object suspected of containing a print into a chamber and exposing it to fumes of cyanoacrylate esters, which is the technical name for superglue. The fumes adhere to the fingerprint residue, causing it to become visible and permanent. If the print is difficult to expose, or the object containing the print is too large for a standard chamber, the forensic lab uses a special vacuum-sealed chamber. The object is placed under vacuum pressure and subjected to high concentrations of the superglue vapors to expose the print. To reveal prints on paper or money, the paper material is sprayed with a chemical dye, then exposed to warm, moist air, causing the print to appear. A third technique is to dust the object with a chemical substance, then expose it to ultraviolet light to reveal the print. Whatever method used, it is photographed for further examination. The latent print examiner looks for details in loops, whorls, and arches that make up the composition of the fingerprint, and if enough information is present, compares the unknown print to cards containing samples of fingerprints that belong to known individuals. If the examiner finds continuous agreement between the latent print and the file print, with no unexplained differences, then a positive identification is made. If fingerprint cards are not available, or there is no suspect from which to take a fingerprint sample, the unknown print is compared with a database known as AFIS, the Automated Fingerprint Identification System. The AFIS database holds millions of encoded fingerprint records. The suspect print is entered, and AFIS searches the database for possible candidates. Candidates are compared to the unknown print to determine if a positive match exists. If the state of Michigan system does not result in a match, the examiner can draw from a national system maintained by the FBI. If all searches are inconclusive, the print can then be entered into an unsolved latent database. AFIS searches this database every time a new set of prints is entered. The unsolved latent database has led to suspects being identified and arrested for crimes they committed years earlier, well after they thought they had gotten away with the offense. An additional responsibility of the latent print unit is to identify unknown human remains. Several methods may be employed to obtain identifiable fingerprints from decomposed or mummified fingers and palms. The prints are then identified by either finding a match in the AFIS database or by comparing the prints with prints obtained from personal belongings associated with missing persons. Latent print identification provides law enforcement with hard, undisputed evidence as to the identity of suspects who handled an object used in a crime, had physical contact with the victim, or was at the crime scene. Because of the vast resource of known fingerprints, the latent print still remains the most widely used technique to identify an individual.